Tito Santana wasn't in the game for drama. No sunglasses indoors, no locker room meltdowns, no leaving shows because catering ran out of quinoa. Tito was old school, but even the most respectful pro gets pushed now and then, and Santana had his limits, and a memory like a tax auditor. While he never went full burial mode, there were a few names that clearly irked him over the years. Minor gripes, silent glares, or just that veteran vibe of, this clown, ain't it? Today we're looking at 3 guys who got on Tito's nerves, and 1 guy he outright hated. And brother, that one, he never forgave him. Tito Santana was the kind of guy who could make anyone look good, from green rookies to bulldozers with boots. But when it came to Shawn Michaels, Tito kept it polite in public, but you could tell he wanted to hurl a flying forearm into the mirror Shawn always carried around. Tito Santana would comment on multiple shoot interviews over the years, saying he changed. He became very arrogant. Shawn went from tag team mechanic in the Rockers to solo egomaniac in heartbreak-colored tights. Tito saw the shift, the overconfidence, the entitlement, and most of all, the disrespect. Santana never accused Shawn of burying him, but you could hear the veteran code in his voice. He didn't like the way Shawn carried himself, especially toward the older guys who paved the way. And Tito wasn't alone. Plenty of old-school names thought young Shawn acted like he discovered wrestling in 1992 and was doing everyone a favor by showing up. But to be clear, this wasn't hatred. Tito wasn't out here cutting promos and shoot interviews. He didn't call him toxic or dangerous. He just said what every guy in the locker room wanted to say, but knew they'd be labeled bitter. That kid thought he was too good for all of us. Tito saw the tights, the earrings, the attitude, and thought, this guy ain't a wrestler, he's a Bon Jovi backup dancer that knows how to bump. Michaels was the type of guy who wore zebra stripes and acted like Ric Flair owed him lunch money. To Tito, that kind of arrogance was the opposite of what the business was built on. Respect your opponent, respect the match, respect the ones who came before you. Shawn respected one thing, his reflection. Sgt Slaughter walked into locker rooms like he was storming Omaha Beach with a clipboard. The chin came in 5 minutes before the rest of him. And Tito Santana, he didn't buy the act. No beef, no broken chairs, no stiff receipts, just that cold, crusty tension that follows a guy who thinks respect is something other people owe him. Tito said he could be difficult sometimes, not the easiest guy to work with behind the scenes. That's Tito being polite. What he really meant? This guy thinks he's Patton with a pair of tights. Sgt Slaughter was one of those old school guys who treated the locker room like a military base, barking orders, picking favorites, and nodding only to people who played ball his way. If you weren't in his foxhole, he didn't see you. Tito wasn't looking to start shoot wars. He was a professional. But when he said someone was difficult, that was veteran speak for this clown's ego was bigger than his paychecks. Slaughter brought his gimmick to catering, to car rides, to the urinal if you let him. And if you didn't salute his presence backstage, good luck getting a hello. Tito didn't flip tables or scream in interviews. He just remembered. And if you saw how he handled guys like that in the ring, a few extra forearms, a little less oops, and a little more, you felt that one, didn't you? Slaughter wasn't hated. He was tolerated, like that uncle at Thanksgiving who wears medals to dinner and corrects everyone's posture. Tito smiled, then stiffed him a little. That's the Santana version of diplomacy. The Ultimate Warrior wasn't just a wrestler. He was a malfunctioning rocket with tassels, a guy who looked like a He-Man figure someone dropped in a blender. And Tito Santana? He saw right through it. No hate, no locker room brawl, just deep veteran-level irritation at a guy who blew through opponents like he was late for a tanning appointment. Tito came from the Bret Hart school of make it look real, make it safe, make it make sense. Warrior came from the school of sprint, scream, shake ropes, forget your own zip code. Santana never shot on him publicly, but he didn't need to. You could feel the disapproval every time Warrior no-sold a punch like it was a bug bite. Tito said he was not the easiest guy to work with. Everything was rushed, no psychology. That's as close as Tito ever got to calling someone a one-man demolition derby. Warrior would blast through matches with the grace of a refrigerator falling downstairs, and to a guy like Tito, who prided himself on timing and selling, that was heresy. And Warrior didn't shake hands, didn't communicate, didn't stick around. He was in, out, and halfway to the airport before you even took your boots off. Respect wasn't part of the act, and Santana never forgot it. This wasn't hate. Tito's too composed for that. But the message was clear. You don't respect the craft, I don't respect the noise. Warrior brought power, but left the ring colder than catering on a Monday. Tito gave him the rope shake and no sell, then filed it under, never again. This wasn't, I didn't like his attitude. This wasn't, he once stiffed me on a tag. This was real hate, the kind that bubbles behind a smile that gets held in the ribs for 40 years like a receipt waiting to be delivered. Tito Santana and Greg Valentine didn't just have matches. They had wars, and Tito didn't forget a single bruise. Tito said he was stiff. He didn't take care of you in the ring. That's Tito being diplomatic. The real version? He hit me like I owed him rent and dated his sister. Valentine worked stiff, and not the fun kind. Not Stan Hansen, oops, I caught your jaw, stiff. This was malicious stiffness. Tito once said he'd go home after a match with Greg and look like he got beat up by a vending machine. And the worst part? Valentine didn't care. He thought that was wrestling. Tito would throw a forearm. Greg would throw a dead body. Santana would bump. Valentine would sandbag like he was in quicksand wearing ankle weights. It wasn't just unprofessional. It was disrespect in slow motion. Greg moved like he was underwater, but hit like he was trying to cave your chest in just to see what your lungs looked like. And let's not pretend this was mutual. Tito didn't give it back. He played it straight, kept it pro, but behind the scenes, the hatred simmered. Tito didn't bury a lot of people in interviews, but when Valentine's name came up, he didn't flinch. He said it plain. He didn't protect you. He didn't care. That's not annoyance. That's loathing with a handshake. Valentine also had that classic, I'm doing you a favor energy. Tito's out here trying to tell a story, and Greg's working like it's a prison fight with a time limit. The man hit like he was trying to wake up your ancestors. At one point, Tito said he dreaded being booked against him. Imagine that. A guy as respected and tough as Tito saying, I don't want to deal with this psycho tonight. And don't get it twisted. They didn't just have one bad match. This was a long-term working relationship where one guy came to do business and the other came to give you free chiropractic damage. You want to know why Tito never smiled during those IC title feuds? Because he was getting chopped into another tax bracket. Greg Valentine moved like wet cement and hit like a pickup truck that didn't like Mexicans. Tito was like, I came here to work, not to get turned into guacamole with legs. To this day, Tito's still cordial in interviews, but you can feel it. If Greg Valentine walked into Tito's gym today, Tito would hand him a kettlebell and pray it slips. Tito Santana didn't whine, didn't politic, didn't start fights. He just remembered who stiffed him, who ghosted him, who treated the business like a trampoline park. And decades later, the names still surface, not because he wants revenge, but because some matches leave bruises that never fully heal. You want more of this? Real backstage grudges, no kayfabe, no sugarcoating, just the receipts that time didn't erase? Subscribe, follow, and we'll keep pulling the curtain back one name at a time. Thanks for watching.